If I asked you back in the late 1960s or early 70s who your favorite muscle car tuner was, you'd probably have a few different answers depending on where you lived. For example, if you're a Mopar fan living in Chicago, you may have mentioned Mr. Norms. But here on the East Coast, we had several different high-profile tuners like Holman Moody or Don Yanko. However, there's always one performance shop that really stood out among the rest. The kind of place that wrote the rules for installing big blocks, where the cars were just built to a totally different level, and today when they roll across the auction block, they bring just a little bit more than anyone else. These cars were built by Baldwin Motion, and this is the story of Joe Oldham's missing Baldwin Motion 1969 Triple Black Camaro. Now, if you're not familiar with the story of Baldwin Motion or their pretty impressive lineup of dealer-built supercars, I'll kind of catch you up to date. See, Baldwin Motion was basically a collaboration between two different companies, one being Baldwin Chevrolet, a dealership based out of Baldwin, New York until 1971, and two, Motion Performance, a dyno-tune performance shop started by a man named Joel Rosen. The arrangement was pretty straightforward. Baldwin would provide vehicles to Motion Performance, and then Joel would enhance the cars to customer specifications with his made-to-order custom touches. It was all thanks to this partnership that Motion could actually reach a much wider audience and offer financing options for their high-performance machines. It's been said that Motion produced over 500 cars during the late 60s and early 70s, including Chevelles, Novas, and Corvettes. However, today's focus is on a 1969 Camaro, but not just any 1969 Camaro. We're talking about a Camaro that might be so rare that if it was ever found today, it would probably be one of the most expensive 69 models to exist. See, it all started back in 1968 when Joe Oldham got tired of his brand new 68 Pontiac GTO. The car was powered by a high-output 400 and according to Joe, never ran quite right, as well as being delivered with the wrong suspension. Of course, this was a huge disappointment because it put a damper on his racing activities in the streets of Queens, New York. See, Joe Oldham had it made. He wrote magazine articles for a publication called High Performance Cars by day and would moonlight as a street racer at night. This meant that he got to test all the new muscle cars on a slalom course, as well as reviewing the cars for mechanical specs, but best of all, he could hammer the piss out of them drag racing with no repercussions. With Joe wanting to win in the street, he would need more than his current automotive fix, something so hot on the street or strip that it would put down the biggest of prey. With all of this in mind, he used his connections in the hobby and during August of 1968, walked down to Baldwin Motion and ordered a brand new 1969 Camaro. However, the car Joe ordered would end up being special in several different ways. To start, it was the very first 1969 Camaro that Joel Rosen would ever convert to 427 power, as well as being originally painted in tuxedo black with a black vinyl top, which in the beginning of 1969 production was a color that Chevrolet was not trying to paint, and a color that only 0.6% of Camaros ever received. See, tuxedo black was previously discontinued at the end of 1968 with the initial release of the 69 Camaro. Several colors were originally flagged for availability, meaning the dealer would have to get the approval by Chevrolet. Of course, later in the year it would be shown on cow tags as Code 10, but the color would show up as a special paint option on cars from the early production run. Joe received his car prior to Thanksgiving in 1968. This means that the cow tag for Joe's Camaro would have a dash in the lower color section, and next to that would be an uppercase B for the black vinyl top. Another unique feature to the car would be the Enduro front bumper or a rare body color option for the Camaro at the time. It's been said in Joe Oldham's book, Muscle Car Confidential, that this car is the very first Copo-ordered black Camaro that year. The story goes that when Joe initially ordered the car through Baldwin Chevrolet, he wanted a black Camaro with no hockey stripes, which came standard on the Super Sports. However, Chevrolet told him it would take months, and not happy with the outcome, Joe ended up calling the central office and pushing the order through. It would seem that the famed automotive writer knew exactly what he was doing all along, and the car was originally ordered as an L78 396 big block, or the biggest engine available other than a Copo 427. Wanting to eliminate the competition, Joe checked the box for an automatic turbo 400 transmission and a 410 posi rear end. After taking delivery of his car, he would then send it over to Motion Performance where it was further converted to more potent specifications. The 396 was pulled and a brand new iron block L72 427 was added in. The supercar converter would also add heavy-duty springs, giving the car its signature stance, and fiberglass open stinger hood gave it that motion style. Although meant for the street, Joe's black '69 Camaro was also outfitted with power steering and power windows, something few muscle cars had at the time. When the crew at Motion was finished, the result was so striking that Joe Rosen ended up using the car for the company's 1969 advertising. It appeared in a total of 3 Motion Performance ads and was even featured on the cover of Motion's '69 product catalog. In fact, Joe's Camaro would be used in advertising so much that it sometimes would be written about having a different engine even though it didn't, and even the SS stripes would be painted over to simulate a second car. Perhaps in the end it was too much hype, and in one day in early 1969, Joe would step into the underground garage of his apartment building and find 2 guys trying to steal his beloved Camaro. One guy was shoving a piece of wire hanger through the driver's side weather stripping, and his partner in crime was looking on. Joe then ran at them screaming, eventually making a flying leap, knocking them both to the ground. After a little scuffle, Joe was able to scare off the would-be thieves, and for the next 2 months, he would go down to the garage and check on the car about every half hour. However, it wouldn't be until spring 6 months later that he would walk out his door and realize the thieves this time had accomplished their mission, and the rare triple black Baldwin Motion '69 Camaro was stolen and never seen again. Eventually, Joe and his sons in 2013 would end up buying a big block super sport Camaro and recreating the car that he had once had. Although not exactly correct, it's a good example, and the car was included in the Baldwin Motion Madness display at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals in Chicago that same year. The McCacken show usually doesn't allow replicas to be displayed, but made an exception since this story is widely known. In fact, Joel Mr. Motion Rosen, who had originally built the car 45 years prior, was so impressed that he had signed the replica Camaro's visor. Today, the cost of Baldwin Motion Camaros are well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars and truly stand apart from the other custom tuners of the time. Again, the statute of limitations for this car being stolen is up and the insurance was paid out. That means that if you ever find yourself in someone's backyard looking at a 1969 Camaro, remember to look in the dash for the cow tag or for the Endura bumper or black paint, and then give me a call. Again, my name is Parker with Backyard Barn Finds, and have a great day.